Everybody, welcome back. Turnpike to Turnpike 2014 Fantasy Football. I'm League Commissioner Kevin Babula, and this is it. This is the final week of the regular season's preview show, week 12. It's amazing. We already got here. It feels like just yesterday we were all here doing the draft and everybody laughing at Bob. And now look at us. It's week 12 and we're all here laughing at Bob. No, seriously, Bob, you're doing great. It was a crazy week this past week, right, guys? I mean, low scores. We've got some bunching up. It's still going to be a fast and furious ending to this season. We basically got 3 teams vying for that final playoff spot. So let's take a look at last week's games and see how everything shook up, and let's see where everybody's going to be heading in this last week of the Turnpike to Turnpike regular season. Up first, we've got... Now, let me tell you something, guys. I've already been on the phone with the Hamilton Square Township Police Department. They have a cop car stationed in front of Goldie's house. It's there just in case. I'm seriously worried about him. Suicide is always an option with that guy. So we're worried about this because his team is falling apart, and it's falling apart fast. Jeff lost this past week to Kenny's Godfathers, 81-57. Jeff got 17 points out of his quarterback, Matt Ryan. He got 10 points out of Sean Sweezum, his kicker, and 9 points out of his running back, Lamar Miller. Where Kenny, you got 23 points out of your quarterback, Russell Wilson, 20 points out of the Cardinals defense, and 17 points out of Marshawn Lynch. Kenny, I want to congratulate you on picking the right quarterback this week. I know it's been a tough situation for you to do that, but both he and Cam Newton scored the same amount of points, so you couldn't really have gone wrong either way this week. Up next, we've got Michael Sam's Gerbils, Brian Sheehan's team, taking on Matt Dreyfus' Fishtown off in a corner. And Matt loses this one and his playoff streak, 102-77. Brian got 34 points out of Green Bay Packers defense, 31 points out of Jamal Charles, and 16 points out of Tom Brady. Where Matt, you got 25 points out of Andrew Luck, 23 out of A.J. Green, and 8 points out of your kicker, Stephen Hauschka. So, Matt, with that, your streak of 5 years in a row of Turnpike to Turnpike playoffs is over. The little thing about Matt is every time he's gotten into the playoffs, he's at least finished in the money, so he's actually won a game. And he usually just tells me, hold it to next year. So, for the first time in a long time, Matt is actually going to have to pay league dues next season. Speaking of league dues, it looks like I'm going to be playing Bobby Crane's league dues with our bet so far. From our tight end challenge between who has the tighter end between Jason Witten and my Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph got back on the field this past week and didn't catch a single pass. And also, there's another bet going on that I don't talk too much about, and that is Brian Sheehan's and my bet from this past draft when I bet him that my team would finish with more total points. Right now we're like within 20 points of each other, so heading into the last week it should be pretty interesting. And in another matchup from last week, really, of two titans, John Moore took on Bob Cranes when the Downingtown Gravediggers met Julius Jones, and Bobby won this one 73-71. Bob got 12 points out of the rapist Ben Roethlisberger, 12 points out of Alfred Morris, and 11 points out of Larry Donnell. Where, John, you received 25 points out of Brandon Marshall, 15 out of Andrew Hawkins, and 8 out of Frank Gore. And once again, John, you have failed to make the playoffs. I don't know what's going on, dude. I was hoping, I hope for you every year. I didn't even give you a kiss of death this year. It's next year. We'll get him next year. Up next, we took my Warriors of Babylon took on Aaron Stampa's Snoozy Loafs in basically what amounted to a bye week. I won this one 102-67. I had 35 points out of Aaron Rodgers, 21 points out of Jordy Nelson, and 21 points out of Calvin Benjamin. Where, Aaron, I got to congratulate you. You actually were able to put a roster together this past week where 3 players were in double digits. That's an impressive stat on its own, and I'm proud of you for that. I think that was a really, really solid effort because you got 20 points out of Butt Fumble Sanchez, 20 points. You got 15 points out of your defense, the Houston Texans, and 10 points out of Doug Baldwin. In the next match, we have Deputy Commissioner Chris Long's Asgardian Thunder Gods taking on Mike Bond's Eastfall Blunts, and Deputy Commissioner Chris Long wins this one, 135-107, and really dealing a blow to Mike Bond and really hurting his playoff chances. He still has a chance to make the playoffs, but a win here really would have put Mike in good shape. Chris, you got 54 points out of your wide receiver, Mike Evans, who really looks like he's on track to win the Rookie of the Year. 16 points out of your quarterback, Drew Brees, and 15 out of your wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas. Where, Bond, you got 25 points out of Emmanuel Sanders before he was seriously concussed, and he got knocked the fuck out. And Alshon Jeffrey got you 24 points, and Robert Griffin III got you 14 points. In our last matchup from last week, Deputy Commissioner Chris Long's youngest son, Greg Long's Mount Laurel Lancers took on the Paper Tigers. Jeff Szymanski's the villain of the league, the predator of the league. I want to say, because I don't know if you guys had a chance to catch the news this week or today rather, but the Cleveland Browns actually cut Ben Tate. So let's take a look at the Lacy Gate, which is the recap of the Eddie Lacy trade that Jeff basically, raped Aaron Stampa into accepting with his trade of Ben Tate and Darren Sproles for Eddie Lacy. And you could see that a whopping 4 points he got out of the 2, Tate and Darren Sproles. And they were really all Darren Sproles' points because Ben Tate had 3 carries for -9 yards. I don't know how that happens, but it did. Jeff won this one 123-107. He got 22 points out of his stolen Eddie Lacy, 21 points out of Matt Forte, and 20 points out of Alfred Blue. Now, Jeff, I'm going to give you some love here because I know I've been beating the hell out of you for the past couple weeks about this. And you did, well, let's be honest, you stole that one player. But the rest of the players you have, you did draft. And you drafted a hell of a team, and you picked up some great picks in terms of, your waiver wires, whether it's Alfred Blue or drafting late with your running back. From Cleveland or Cincinnati, who I'm blanking on his name right now, but I know he was on your bench this past week. The guy is spelling Giovanni Bernard. Why can't I remember his name? This is embarrassing. Anyway, 123-107. Greg, you had 37 points out of Le'Veon Bell, 24 points out of Peyton Manning, and 19 points out of Kobe Fleener. Now, here's the thing. You also made a boo-boo, and you started the Philadelphia Eagles defense against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, which got you -4. And you also had the San Francisco 49ers on your bench. How did you do that? How did you possibly think that was a good idea? Well, you know what? We're going to find out now because this is Meet the Manager. And I decided this week we're going to talk to the other Long child. And we're going to talk to Greg Long's, Chris Long, Greg, his youngest son, Greg, right now on Meet the Manager. So joining me this week on Meet the Manager is Greg Long, owner of the Mount Laurel Lancers. After that tough defeat, I had to talk to him. Greg, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wow, that was a tough one, buddy.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of rough, but, made a stupid decision on defenses. And
well, it's funny because that's what I want to talk to you about. When I talked to your brother last week, and I've talked to the majority of the league this week and this season, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet. And when I saw the move that you'd be in excellent shape right now with the win, dude, and it was there for you. How did you possibly think playing the Philadelphia Eagle defense in Green Bay against that offense was better than playing the 49ers against the Giants with Aldon Smith coming back?
I don't know. It was kind of like the Eagles pulled off a 42-point week before that.
Right.
So maybe they're gonna, they're staying solid, and San Fran's D hasn't been really scoring me points like that. So maybe, Eagles gonna pull off something big.
You had to be going. It had to be a terrible feeling in your stomach as the Packers kept rolling those points up.
Oh my God! Of course, like my team just getting blown through. Like it was not a good Sunday.
I talked to your brother last week about what it's like in the house during the game, and he said it was pretty rough for him. Obviously he's got the worst team of the three. You're in the middle. He lost to you. He lost to your dad. Is it a little bit better for you in the house when you're the guy who's winning when you're playing your brother?
Yeah, definitely. We always talk shit on each other, but whenever you get a win against a long in the household, it's always a positive for the week.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your chances now, because first of all, if you haven't really figured out how it's going to work, is if Goldie wins, he's in, right? Okay, so that's automatic, all right? But he's got a tough matchup. He's got your brother, so you're going to have to pull for your brother. Oh, no, he doesn't have your brother. I'm sorry. He's got Matt Dreyfus. So, and Matt's already been eliminated. So Matt's got to play spoiler. You're playing me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and your brother has Julius Jones, Bob Crane. So your brother's just going to be, whatever he wants to do. But the other guy you got to worry about is Mike Bond.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance that if you and Mike both win, Goldie loses, it's going to come down to total points.
And I'll probably lose that, right? I didn't score a lot of points this season.
You're not that far off. You guys are within reach of each other. So basically, what you need to do is you need to hope Goldie loses and hope Bond loses, and you're set.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. But if you played the 49er defense, you wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah. No. One stupid move ruins the season.
How do you feel about going against me this week? Because you know what I got that I have been saving all season long.
Oh, yes. I looked at it today. Josh Gordon is coming back. I think I'm feeling kind of solid. I don't know. With Peyton playing, I forget who he plays. I think it might be Tennessee. So,
right,
putting up points there. And Denard Robinson. I don't have Le'Veon Bell this week, which is going to hurt me, but he pulled off a great game last night.
Yes.
But Denard Robinson has been stepping it up real big. Mark Ingram's been solid when he's healthy, and my running back game is real strong. If they pull through, I think I should be fine against you. But my wide receivers are atrocious, always putting in new guys each week. And
I tell you what, man, the waiver wire, it is empty. There is nothing left. The one thing that I talk about every week, we are very good at plucking the waiver wire. There is nobody left, man. It is just the dregs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I tell you what, man,
guy that went off, but it's probably like a one-game thing. And
yeah, absolutely. How can you can't trust those Patriot running backs? You can
never trust them. They switch every week.
Never. But I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. I am definitely my roster is not set because I got a couple waiver claims in on those dregs. I want to see who I wind up getting. But you can pretty much guarantee you pretty much know who I'm going to be starting. But you can I guarantee you got Jordy and you got Josh Gordon to deal with this week.
Yeah, it's your wide receiver game is going to be disgusting, and my running backs are going to have to step up for that. But
all right, man. Well, listen, I'll let you get going. Are you into wrestling and football and everything like your brother? Are you doing the same thing? Or you have?
Yeah, I start wrestling next week.
Well, listen, I gave your brother some advice last week on wrestling. I want to give you some this week, okay?
Okay.
What you want to do when you're in a cage match is you want to start on the roof and you want to throw your opponent down through the scoring table right away. That's your first move. You got it? Okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. When you perfect that move, you're going to win a lot of Intercontinental Championships. Trust me.
All right, Kev.
All right, man? All right, good luck this week. Not really, but Anyway, you know what? Good luck. I don't need the win. You do. Good luck to you, bro.
Yeah.
All right?
All right, Kev.
All right, man. Take care. It's Greg Long, owner of the Mount Laurel Lancers. So I want to thank Greg again for coming on, and you know, it was pretty big of him to come on after a loss. Most of you guys I talked to after a win or something exciting. He had a heartbreaking defeat last week. So that's that. Let's see, have we covered everything else this week? Yeah, I think so. Let's get to this coming week's matchups. And first off, I want to start off with my matchup between aforementioned Greg and my Warriors of Babylon. So it's the Mount Laurel Lancers taking on the Warriors of Babylon. This is it for me. I drafted him. I hoped when I drafted him that I would be in this position where I would be in the playoffs, and this guy could come along and maybe win me something. So Josh Gordon will be in my roster this week. I'm excited about it. He might get nothing. He might go off. I don't know, but he's going to be starting for me. In a matchup of historic proportions. I should have music for this. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'll think of something. But in a matchup that has historic ramifications from Turnpike to Turnpike, Deputy Commissioner Chris Long takes on Aaron Stampa's Snoozy Loafs. In the history of Turnpike to Turnpike, John Moore's initial effort in the 2008 Antiques was his team name. Scored 860 points total for the season and won 2 games. If Chris wins this one, Aaron will be the first one-win winner in the history of Turnpike to Turnpike, making him the biggest loser in Turnpike to Turnpike history. Sorry. Up next, we've got Jeff Zeminski's Paper Tiger taking on Brian Sheehan's Michael Sam Gerbil. And what's an excellent playoff preview, possibly. These two, I don't know how the playoff matchups could shake out yet, but they could definitely wind up meeting in the playoffs, if not the championship game. In a big, humongous game for Mike Bond's East Fall Blunts taking on John Moore's Downingtown Gravediggers. John will be once and again in spoiler mode, where Bond, as I was saying before, if he wins, he needs some help. But he has a chance, so it all has to start with a win. And in a huge match, really the one that I'm going to be paying attention to the most, outside of the Snoozy Loaves, is Matt Dreyfus's Fish Down and Off in a Corner taking on Jeffrey Hezekiah Golden Bomb's Hamilton Square Possums. And I'm going to say this, and it might be the last time I'm going to say this for a while. The defending champion, Jeffrey Hezekiah Golden Bomb's Hamilton Square Possums. That is huge. Jeff, you win, you're in the playoffs. You lose, it all shakes out to the way the numbers break down. And in the final match of next week, we've got Bob Crane's Julius Jones taking on Kenny Long's Godfathers. Nothing exciting about this one. Bob's in the playoffs. Woohoo. Yay, Bob. Go, Bob. I'll talk to you next week. It should be an interesting weekend, guys. Again, there's a police car out in front of Jeff's house right now. Jeff, don't do it, man. Put it down. Put it down. It's not worth it. Put the pills down. Jeff, get out of that bathtub. Stop playing with that toaster near the water, Jeff. Jeff, get away from that ledge. I'm League Commissioner Kevin Bula.